Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Suddenly, the other Braves launched an assault on the three modified units. They went out of control as they were about to be torn apart. Change of command. Attack all belligerents. The three robots began destroying other robots recklessly upon receiving the order. However, one of the three robots already had its arm torn off, and the other two units had sustained severe damage on different parts as well. Still, the professor could not afford to worry that much, as he could still fix them if they were just broken. He would not be able to do anything if the robots were completely destroyed. It was then that Nicole saw what was happening from afar. She was surprised to learn that the enemy had a genius in robotics like that too. She did not anticipate that they had hired a person who could rewrite the robot's program on the spot. Then, she modified her command script again. 10 robots then proceeded to launch a counterattack. Work together and destroy the rogue robots. However, one of the three robots was reprogrammed at that instant again. Capture the enemy leader. The robot left its brethren to be torn apart by the other robots and quickly zoned in on Jared, the CEO of Johnston Group, target locked. The robot shouted and suddenly charged in Jared's direction. Mr. Johnston! Janice yelled, as he noticed that something was wrong. Jared was quick to notice that the droid was charging at him. Instantly, he led his men to flee the scene, leaving the other robots behind. Fortunately, the robot was not equipped with any guns, only saw blades. He ran off in time and was able to find temporary safety in a secluded spot. However, Nicole's heart dropped when she saw that. Damn it! How dare they try to hurt Jared? To her, that was the last straw. Her eyes turned cold as she thought about it. After seeing the other two robots immobilized, she immediately took action and gave all the robots a new command: destroy the base and capture the leader hiding in the command center alive. The people fighting on her side were roused into a frenzy as they repeatedly shouted Nicole's command. Era and Bara were stunned. They're going to destroy the base. My God! We only have one robot left and they still have more than 30 units. And all of them are going to tear our base down? We're doomed. At that moment, the chief hiding in the command center was left in a state of shock upon hearing that. Damn it! They're going to destroy this place. He found out that there was only one of his 5 robots left, and that all the other units were going berserk on his men. The robots were initially supposed to just leave this place, but they were going to destroy it now. The chief was unable to sit still anymore as he looked at the professor and said, "Figure something out now." Wide-eyed, the professor did not expect that Nicole would issue such an order. It seemed to him that she had been pushed to her limit. Just like that, he could not help but regret his actions. Perhaps, he should not have issued the command to capture Jared earlier on, but it was too late for regrets now. Nicole being willing to sacrifice the robots for Jared was something he did not see coming. You are responsible for this. The chief glared at the professor, who looked like he was stumped and hopeless. Then, the chief grabbed a submachine gun and yelled at them, "Well, we don't have to care about the robots now. Let's kill them all." Even though he would earn a large sum of money if he handed these robots over to the buyer, his life was still more important than the trade. The professor was stunned. No. If the Braves were destroyed, all of his hard work would just go to waste. However, the chief could not be bothered to give a damn any longer. He had poured his blood and sweat into this base for over a decade. If this place ceased to exist, then it would all be over for him. Not caring about the professor anymore, the chief immediately bolted out of the room with some of his men in tow. The professor panicked. He quickly ran to the computer and attempted to crack the system of the other robots to gain control over them. However, there was nothing but pandemonium out there. The robots were attacking mercilessly and damaging the base severely. As of now, the command post was already strewn with countless corpses. When the chief ran out, Era and Bara hurried over and said, "Chief, these robots have gone rogue. What should we do?" In response, the chief yelled, "What else can we do? We destroy them. Protect the base." "Yes, Chief." Era and Bara concurred and rushed off to the tank with some men. "Take these robots down." Through her pair of binoculars, Nicole saw them revving up their tanks at once. They had the barrel of the turrets aimed at the robots too. Sadly, the Braves were born out of the hard work of the Terman family and the Curly Corporation. Each unit was worth millions of dollars. It would be a shame if they were destroyed here, but they could not afford to take any risks, no matter how small. With that in mind, Nicole altered the command script once more, prompting the remaining units to hurtle toward the tanks. They even broke the chains. Era and Bara's team had 3 tanks speeding toward them. Foolishly assuming that someone was controlling the robots, both Era and Bara yelled, "Take the robots down and kill them all." 3 of the tanks immediately charged toward the robots. One of the robots could not dodge in time and was crushed into pieces. "Damn!" Jared roared when he saw the unfortunate Brave being grounded to bits. Then, at that very moment, Nicole connected to his walkie-talkie and said, "Jared, even though it is important for us to retrieve the Brave, human lives are still the priority. Try making an escape during the battle, and I'll try my best to pilot the robots out of this place." Jared was moved when he heard Nicole's voice. Nicole did not want him to take the risk, so she took control of the robots in close proximity. Looking at his fallen brothers, Jared responded, "Okay." Since they had already lost one of the robots, they could not afford to lose more human lives. Then, Jared shouted, "Mission completed. The robots will cover us while we escape. Team 1, you'll be leaving first. The rest of you will provide cover and file out respectively." "Roger that," Janice said. He and the rest of them could tell that the robots were on their side, so they carried the orders out and evacuated while the Braves continued on their rampage. "They're escaping," the person next to the chief noticed. Hearing that, the chief yelled, "Trying to escape after destroying my base. Kill them all. Every single one of them." "Yes, chief." Upon hearing the chief, the men directed their attacks on Janice and his men. Unfortunately for them, Jared and his troops had surrounded them from the outside and were attacking from both sides. Over 10 of the chief's men were killed at an instant, causing the rest of them to hesitate, wondering if they should proceed or not. "Useless," the chief bellowed with rage before giving Era an order through his headphones. "Crush them." Era then came to the realization that Janice and his men were escaping after receiving the chief's order. Thus, he immediately resorted to crushing Janice and his men. "Janice, get out of there!" Jared yelled when he saw how dangerous it was becoming. Janice quickly ran forward with his men. Through the binoculars, Nicole saw that they were running like their lives depended on it while the tanks careened toward them. She quickly commanded the robots around the area to help them out. "In the face of something as powerful as the force of a tank, we'll be crushed if we rush over," one of Nicole's men anxiously yelled. "We must stop him." Nicole knew this fact all too well, but it was not an easy feat to stop a tank. Charging over recklessly would only damage their robots further. She made an attempt by instructing some of the robots to cut the tank's chain with an electric saw. However, the tank, careening wildly, proceeded to break their blades in two. "Damn it!" Nicole gritted her teeth. Glancing over at the robots that were already on the top of the tank, as well as the barrels nearby, an idea dawned upon her at once. At that exact moment, Era spotted the enemy reinforcements at the base gate through the camera. "There are enemies at the gate. Fire the cannon," Era instructed. "Yes, sir." Era's subordinates loaded the shell, while he aimed the cannon at Jared. Janice saw the situation clearly and screamed over the radio, "Run, Mr. Johnston." However, there was no other way for Jared to escape, as he would just back himself into the base's narrow entrance after turning around. As the cannonball was about to discharge, the robots threw themselves on it, bending the barrel. "Nice." Nicole nodded pleasantly. She did not expect the robots to be so powerful and intelligent. Fortunately, they were designed with excellent arm strength in mind. "Boss, don't press the button." Inside the tank, Era's subordinates appeared to notice that something was wrong. However, Era was only focused on the aiming device. He did not know that the loud sound moments had come from the barrel that was no longer functional or safe. So, he pressed the button to launch the artillery shell. "No!" one of his subordinates shouted, but it was too late, as they then heard a loud blast. The tank's internal ammunition had exploded. Era's tank halted with a loud thud at once. The few robots that had thrown themselves on top of the tank were also shaken off, whereupon they fell to the ground. Thankfully, they quickly got back up on one knee. Nicole breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. "Fantastic. All right. We took out a tank." Nicole's subordinates cheered, elated. "Go get the car and get ready to run for it," Nicole ordered. "Yes," her subordinates shouted, convinced of Nicole's leadership skills. Then, they hurried off to get their vehicles ready while Nicole turned her attention to Jared and the others, watching them anxiously. Bara was outraged when he saw Era's tank explode, and in an instant, his eyes turned red with rage. "They killed my brother." Ignoring the fact that he still had to protect his leader, Bara drove another tank off and went after Janice and his men. In Bara's case, he was so fast that even the robots could not keep up. Nicole understood that she could not stop all of her enemies and was pressed for time. Taking advantage of the fact that there were very few people around her, she sprinted to the canyon and joined Jared. Jared was taken aback as he felt someone rushing over. He became distressed when he turned back to see Nicole making a beeline for him. "Why are you here?" "It's already dangerous for her to wait outside at the entrance. I can't believe that she has entered the place," Jared thought. As soon as she had reached him, she said, "Let Janice man take the tank." She had noticed a tank parked right before Janice and the others a moment ago. They could definitely retaliate if Janice and his team could get into the tank. "Got it," Jared said, not wasting a moment as he proceeded to instruct Janice over the radio. Janice then came to the immediate realization that there was a tank in front of them. Right off the bat, he told his team, "Get in the tank." Upon receiving the order, everyone instantly made a headlong rush for the tank. However, Bara was already mad with rage. "You even dare to use our tank? Dream on. Reload." "Yes." His subordinates proceeded to load the artillery shells into the turret basket. Then, Bara pressed the button and fired a shell in Janice's direction. At this point, Nicole swiftly maneuvered a robot into the path of the incoming strike, blocking the shell. With a loud blast, the projectile blew the robot into pieces. Jared was stunned, as he did not expect Nicole to sacrifice a robot in order to buy Janice and the others some time. Knowing what to do, Janice did as he was expected to and got into the tank. "Load 'em up." Janice then aimed the muzzle of the cannon in Bara's direction, while his team scrambled to reload the ammunition on time. "Hurry up." Bara instantly tensed up upon seeing Janice's cannon aimed right at him. And when his subordinate had hastily loaded the next shell, he pushed the button, launching another blast. Janice then pressed the button without batting an eye, yelling, "Duck." He and the men behind him immediately clung together. At the very next second, they heard a loud boom. The two shells collided with each other, producing a violent explosion. The people around them were blown away, wounded and bloodied. "Load it again." Janice reacted immediately, this time helping to load the shell in. Shortly after, he pressed the button again. Meanwhile, before Bara could realize what had happened, he saw a second shell fired. Holy! Bara's first reaction was to shield his body, though it was too late. With another loud bang, Bara lost consciousness in an instant. The leader choked with rage when he saw the second tank destroyed and the sight of his capable assistant in grave peril. "No one is leaving here alive today. Dispatch all our tanks and airplanes. Kill them all." "Yes, sir." His henchmen scrambled to get their armaments upon receiving the order. Nicole knew the opposite side was about to launch a counteroffensive, and that was when she sneered, "How naive." As expected, when the leader's men had made their way toward the tanks, they found the threads were all broken and the planes were all damaged. The doors to the cockpit of the planes were all mangled and could not open no matter how hard they tried. "Let's go," Nicole ordered. Their important weapons were mostly destroyed, and as such, there was enough downtime for all of them to catch their breaths. "All right," Jared replied, understanding what Nicole meant. Jared had nothing to worry about as he saw Janice driving the tank in and bringing his team back to the base. The second team retreats first, while the third team provides cover. "Follow Janice and his team." "Yes, sir." The subordinates did as they were told, all alert and combat ready. And because Nicole was present, Jared immediately led the second team to prepare for the retreat. However, just when they thought they had won the battle, Nicole's electronic watch suddenly sounded an alarm. Jared narrowed his brows, asking, "What's wrong?" Nicole's expression was solemn, but there was also a hint of wry amusement in it. "There's someone trying to modify my robot commands." Surprisingly, the person in question had successfully hacked into her system. As it turned out, her opponent was not a pushover. Concurrently, two robots behind Janice and his team suddenly went rogue and charged toward Janice's tank, pouncing on it. The professor was standing by the window with his laptop, typing with one hand, but he was smiling. After a long wait, he finally succeeded in invading Nicole's system. As long as he could maintain his hold over one unit, he could hack the other Braves in succession. There, he thought, it's not an impossibility to have all these robots remain here. With that in mind, the professor swelled up with pride for himself. Meanwhile, Janice was left fighting to shake the robots off. Angrily, he asked, "What happened, Mr. Johnston?" In a serious and urgent tone of voice, Jared replied, "Someone has modified the robot's command code. Leave now." At this point, they could care less about the robots. If their enemies succeeded in manipulating their robots, they would all die here today. Then, Nicole said, "Let them leave first. I'll take care of things here." Nicole believed that as long as the robots were still present, she would never lose the battle. "I'll stay with you," Jared exclaimed, unwilling to leave Nicole behind alone. Nicole nodded, knowing Jared would never abandon her. They immediately found a safe zone and settled there. Then, Nicole turned her electronic watch and virtual keyboard on to start coding at once. At that exact moment, the chief watched as the robots assailed the invaders, one after another. He turned to look at the command center, where the professor was typing on his keyboard. The sight of the professor coming in handy pleased him tremendously. He's finally of some use. "Brothers, the robots will soon be our allies. Charge ahead and kill the invaders," he bellowed. "Yes." The lackeys, who were previously in despair, were suddenly filled with morale as if they had just received a shot of adrenaline. "All right." With a roar, the crowd charged into the fray with their guns blazing. Seeing that, the professor's face turned green. "It's too early." The professor had not completely overwritten the robot's program and felt that these men were too eager for blood. As expected, the few people that had gone out first became the robot's target. However, they seemed to not be cognizant of the situation, only wishing to kill Jared's people. The professor could only tamper with the robot's program as he was racked with anxiety. However, Nicole would not even give him a chance at another attempt. Knowing that he had already altered the system programming of 7 robots, Nicole immediately added multiple layers of defenses to the systems of other robots. As expected, the professor's progress was immediately halted. "Damn it!" Then, he panicked. "Nicole is too fast. I'm no match for her." However, Nicole was not quite done yet. The 7 Braves, which had been tampered, still had their original programs intact. As such, Nicole could fix them with a little more time. Meanwhile, Janice was aware of the fact that there were out-of-control robots on top of the tank, making it hard for them to escape. Still, he was afraid that the robots would attack Jared, so he had no choice but to steer the tank in a different direction. As soon as he did that, the tank crashed into a wall and sent 2 units crashing to the ground with a loud bang. Nicole seized this opportunity and commanded the other Braves to subdue the 2 which were haywire, and with the other 5 being restrained by several of the functional counterparts surrounding them, Nicole used this chance to quickly restore their system. Jared saw Janice and his team coming over and instructed the third team to go ahead and rescue them at once. Ever since the collision, Janice was left feeling disoriented. He was still in a bit of a daze as the third team rescued him. After that, Jared instructed, Take him away." "Yes, sir." The third team nodded, protecting Janice and his team as they withdrew from the scene. Jared anxiously at Nicole, who was still coding. "How much longer do you need?" At this point, the terrorists in the base looked as if they were doped up, and were no longer afraid of death. They had already begun charging at Jared and his men. In response, Nicole muttered, "I can't give up on my braves. You guys go first." If Nicole was too far away from the robots, the signal would not reach them, and she would inevitably lose the robots. "I can't just leave you behind. You have to come with me," Jared shouted. Ignoring her words, he lifted her off her feet and began carrying her away the way a groom would carry a bride. "Jared, let me go," Nicole yelled, attempting to wriggle her way out of his arms. Jared, however, was insistent. "You have a baby in your belly. Do you want to put your life at risk as well as his?" Nicole fell silent and gritted her teeth. "Fine, you may carry me off. I can definitely fix these robots in a minute." "You better." Jared agreed and carried her away. While in his arms, Nicole continued to dot her fingers across her keyboard. At this moment, the other robots stopped fighting the terrorists and quickly escaped. The 7 knocked-down robots got back on their feet and started to chase after the other robots. Their distance was just right for Nicole to connect to their signal, providing easier access for Nicole to the program. In the command center, the professor saw this situation. He instantly grabbed his laptop and ran out. He had to keep up a certain distance to continue controlling the robots. Being too far away from the robots would allow Nicole to reprogram them. Even though he could not control all the robots, he still wanted to save as many as he could. With that in mind, the professor rushed along, battling against Nicole's defense system on his laptop. Jared and the others got into the car. He looked at the minions, who were having an adrenaline rush to take them out, and plowed through the gang, charging out of the base. "Let's go." Jared ordered everyone to get into the cars and leave. All the cars turned around and left in formation. The leader behind them also got into an armored vehicle and headed out. "Leave the robots to the professor. We have to kill these invaders, or else our base will be exposed." The leader gave orders to kill the invaders first before dealing with the robots. "Yes, sir." The others immediately obeyed and drove past the robots to deal with the intruders. The professor had now also gotten in the armored vehicle and joined the pursuit. However, his progress bar to control the robots was getting smaller. Nicole was too good at this. The professor had no other way to solve this situation, but he was sure of one thing. As the professor thought of it, he communicated with the leader through the radio. "There's a woman in their car. She's the creator of the robots. I can have complete control over the robots if you kill her." The leader had never noticed that there was such a person on the enemy's side. "Don't worry. I won't leave any of them alive." The leader hung up the call and launched a pursuit. In the canyon Badlands, more than 10 black unmarked cars sped forward and drove surrounding a bulletproof jeep. Behind them, the armored cars were also catching up and chasing hard. The leader spotted the jeep in front of them immediately. "Destroy the leader, and the gang will collapse. Take out that jeep." The subordinates stood on top of the armored car and fired shots at the cars in front of them. However, every single car in front of them was bulletproof. Only the last car was hit on the tire and crashed into a nearby rock. However, no one stopped and continued to escape. The armored car was also chasing after them desperately. Nicole was at the point where she was very close to going out of range of the robot's signal. Finally, she completely reprogrammed all the robot systems. They were all back at the base, and she added more defense systems to prevent people hacking into them. At this moment, Nicole was at last relaxed. Even if God himself came, he would not be able to break through her defense, and the robots would definitely get back to Lanningborg. "Let's go. We should escape from here as soon as possible," Nicole said, turning off her watch. She then picked up her phone to call Zane. Jared whispered, "Who are you contacting?" Nicole narrowed her eyebrows. "Since we found what we wanted, we don't have to be afraid of giving the game away. Zane's people are just around the corner." Although she could not tell Zane what happened, she could let the internal informants pass on the message. Nicole had other ways to get Zane to deploy on this side of the area. Jared never expected Nicole to come up with a backup plan. He immediately felt relieved. In that case, let's not let any of these people go. They should all get arrested. It would be great to eliminate them. I wouldn't need to worry about them hurting Nicole, thought Jared. However, Nicole's expression was gloomy. Hopefully. Nicole could sense that the people who stole Brave were not the same people who attacked her at Lanningborg's port last time. However, she was unsure if the two groups were related. Nicole sent her coordinates to Zane. Jared ordered his people to stop running and instead engage in combat, delaying the time for reinforcements. At this moment, Zane replied to Nicole. 10 minutes. Jared saw the message and said, "We need to hold out for these 10 minutes. Nicole could sense Jared's helplessness and smiled. "You can do it, Mr. Johnston." Jared felt Nicole's comfort. He smirked and pulled her into his arms. "Since my wife had helped me to this extent, of course, I had to cheer up." Suddenly, they felt their car get hit by a barrage of gunfire and bullets. Almost all the machine guns were aiming at them. "It seems like this car is too conspicuous," Jared said, glancing back and spotting some cracks in the bulletproof glass. Nicole asked, "Should I drive instead?" This driver was not skilled at driving. Jared could tell Nicole was self-assured with her driving skills. "Sure, but be careful with your stomach." "No problem." Nicole nodded in agreement and quickly moved to the passenger seat. This car was specially modified so that the passenger seat had a steering wheel. In case of emergencies, the drivers could switch seats. Nicole fastened her seatbelt and switched the driving system. After that, Nicole went straight into race car mode. The driver realized the moment Nicole took over. She ignored the formation and stepped on the pedal. She then accelerated and dodged left and right to evade the pursuing vehicles. The speed that she was going was jaw-dropping. Behind them, Janice and the others were amazed to see the drastic improvement in Jared's driver skills. Janice instructed the others to follow suit. The technique in breaking their car formation and dodging left and right had daunted the armored car behind them. Even if the people from the armored car aimed quickly, the opponent could still avoid their hits in an instant. The leader was starting to become impatient. "Just shoot with everything you've got. Kill them." Once the order was given, almost every car opened fire on the cars in front of them without distinction. While facing such a fierce attack, a few cars behind had fallen. Some cars went out of control and hit the side by dodging too fast. Even two of Lawrence Royce collided with each other. With a loud bang, the car exploded, shooting flames up into the sky. But the others did not dare to stop and went faster. Seeing that they were about to escape the desert, the leader exclaimed, "Use the cannon. That jeep has to be taken down." The leader believed the person the professor wanted to kill was inside that jeep. By killing her, they could definitely keep the robots. The leader was now running on bloodlust. He personally stood on the roof of the car, took over the cannon gun, and aimed at Nicole. Janice, at the back, was the first to notice this scene. He immediately alerted Jared with his headset. "Mr. Johnston, there's a cannon gun aiming right at your car from behind. Even if it was a bulletproof car, the car would probably flip over if hit by such a shot." Jared immediately cautioned Nicole. "Be careful of the shells." Nicole made a sharp turn and happened to catch a glimpse of a tall, muscular man holding a cannon gun on the other car through the rearview mirror. Nicole's lips curled up slightly as she snorted. "Humph. Is that all you got?" She then gracefully turned the car and left the others behind. The leader did not expect a sudden turn, and the driver almost made him throw his cannon out. "Damn. Drive steadily, would you?" The leader's roar instantly made his underling decrease in speed, stabilizing the car. However, they were never going to catch up with Nicole at this speed, so he aimed the cannon gun at a random black car. It hit one of the cars belonging to Janice's subordinates directly, and the car flew up into the air, emitting sparks with a loud boom. Janice's heart ached at the sight, as his best comrades were on board the vehicle. Janice could not let them die in vain. The others continued to speed away, dodging left and right. Nicole's expression darkened, seeing the others hit by the cannon. They are despicable. Hence, she slowed down her speed. Jared frowned. What are you doing? I'm buying time. Nicole coldly responded to him. As expected, the leader saw Nicole's car slow down and ignored the others to aim in her direction. Jared's expression instantly darkened. You're using yourself as bait. Nicole replied, Was I supposed to just watch people sacrifice for me? It was the basis of the International Criminal Police to protect comrades. It had also been Nicole's habit all these years. She could not just stand by and watch others sacrifice themselves in vain. Jared knew his advice would go nowhere while Nicole was in this situation. All right, I'll stay with you. No matter what Nicole decided, Jared would always be with her. Nicole looked at Jared through the rearview mirror with gratitude and full of emotion. I won't let you die. Nicole cared for others, but she was even more concerned for Jared. She would not let anything happen to him. Jared nodded. He always had faith in her. At this moment, the cannon gun reloaded. Nicole saw the incoming shell and immediately dodged it. Jared was mentally prepared, so he avoided hitting the glass. With a loud bang, the cannon exploded at the previous location. The leader was furious when he missed and wasted a shot. I don't believe I can't take you down. With that, he fired another shot. However, Nicole was long prepared and dodged it again. The leader was pissed to learn that the opponent was skilled. After a few successive shots, he thought he could outwit his opponent. But the opponent seemed to predict his every move and dodged all of the shots. In the rear, the professor's car stayed close behind. He was so tense as he watched the leader fire the shots. The robots were already escaping the base and following. Before he could modify the robot system, he had to see Nicole blowing out. However, deep down in his heart, he was inexplicably concerned about her. He did not want her to die. He was watching the front scene with such complicated emotions. However, he became nervous as he saw the leader order 2 cars to leave their guns and bring out the cannon guns. Nicole, there are now 3 cannons. Jared nervously looked at Nicole. We don't have time. Let's go. If Jared was alone in the car, he would do the same to stall time with the enemies. However, Nicole was a different case. Nicole could not afford to take the risk, especially with the baby in her stomach. Fine. Nicole said. Despite her training in driving and dodging bullets, 3 cannons were no joke. Besides that, 8 minutes have passed since Nicole sent the message. Zane would definitely show up in 2 more minutes. With that in mind, Nicole left the battlefield and accelerated away. But the 3 cars with cannon guns continued to pursue and attack her relentlessly, all aiming at her. Bang! Bang! One after another, the shells exploded behind her, creating a thick cloud of smoke that blocked her view of the cars. Nicole lost sight and could only blindly dodge. Then, she heard another shell coming and quickly dodged it. However, she felt the rear wheel burst in the next instant. Bang! 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 The wheel hub was damaged, and the tire pressure rapidly dissipated, making a loud noise every time Nicole moved forward. Nicole's car speed slowed down. Mr. Johnston. Seeing this scene, Janice wanted to stop the car to save Jared. However, Jared had already spotted a black spot gradually approaching at a distance. Don't mind us. Leave first. Jared said. Help had arrived, so there was no need to add casualties. But what about you? Janice was anxious. Janice could never leave Jared in the lurch. Don't worry. He won't kill us. Jared explained. The opponent must be curious about who they were, so they would figure it out before killing them. All right. Janice gritted his teeth, obeying Jared's orders and leading everyone to overtake their car and escape. After seeing the Jeep stop with smoke, the leader said proudly, Let's see where you're going to escape now. He ordered his subordinates to stop in front of the Jeep. At the back, the professor's car arrived. The professor got out, looking nervous as he saw Nicole's car forced to stop. Seeing the professor approach, the leader immediately exclaimed, Professor, over here. Check and see whether the person you were talking about is here. The rest of you continue chasing the cars in front. Yes. The other vehicles quickly passed them and continued to chase after Janice and the others. The leader got closer to the Jeep with the professor. The professor walked in heavy steps to the Jeep. The leader aimed his gun at the handle of the door and said, "Get out of the car now if you don't want to die." Behind the leader was a cannon gun pointed at the car, seemingly ready to fire if no one got out. Nicole also saw the black spot from afar. She calmly glanced at Jared. "It is what it is. Let's meet them." Although the mission this time was to bring back the robots, it would also be a pleasant surprise if they could figure out who these people were. Jared could sense Nicole's intentions and said worriedly, "You should stay in the car. I'll go." With that, Jared got out of the car. Nicole knew Jared worried about the child. She wanted to get out too, but thinking of the baby inside her, she decided to stay in the car and observe the situation first. Outside the car, the leader was shocked to see Jared get out. "You're Jared Johnston." Jared smirked. "You know me? But why don't I know you?" Jared's words were extremely arrogant, which made the leader's expression dark. His aura dimmed in a flash. "I don't care who you are. You stole something from me, so today is the day you die." This bastard. He not only ruined my business but also nearly destroyed the base. So what, if he's from JJ Johnston Group? I'll make sure he dies without a burial place to avenge my brothers, the leader thought. Jared sneered, "What you?" The contempt in Jared's eyes had made the leader's expression ugly. "Yes, me." The professor stepped forward. He ignored Jared and asked, using a voice changer, "Hand over the person controlling the robots." The robots would run farther away if they did not capture Nicole and let her modify the system. The leader remembered the real deal and took out his handgun, pointing it at Jared's temple. "That's right. Hand them over." Inside the car, Nicole saw the professor's figure through the brown glass. She felt he seemed extremely familiar. Seeing Jared held at gunpoint, she immediately got out of the car. "You must be an expert to know that I was controlling the robots," Nicole said calmly, showing no fear in her eyes. Her sharp gaze landed on the professor, continuously scrutinizing him. Even though the professor wore a mask, he felt guilty, as if Nicole could see through him. But with just that one evasive glance from the professor, Nicole identified him. "Ike. I never expected to see you here." Nicole squinted her eyes and called the professor's name. At that moment, the professor's body trembled. He always thought Nicole's eyes only focused on Jared. He could not have imagined that Nicole would recognize him with just one glance. It was useless to hide his identity, even though he wore a mask with a voice changer. With this in mind, he took his mask off and revealed the handsome face beneath. Ike smirked. "I can't believe you recognized me." Jared's expression was extremely dark. He thought, "No wonder I felt something fishy when the intelligence system was stolen." Nicole snorted. "Seems like the person who brought the USB here was you. No wonder you were on site when it was stolen that day." At this moment, everything that did not make sense before suddenly made perfect sense. Before this, she only wondered if it was too coincidental that Ike was there. Besides that, he was injured in a rather weird way. Come to think of it, you must have caused your own injuries back then. After all, which of your subordinates would dare to hurt you? Nicole was aware of Ike's skills. With his abilities, he could hack into the system and take the intelligence system away. And his performance just now. I never thought that you would thoroughly study Brave and even be able to remodify their system. All these years, besides Zeke, no one was a match for Nicole. In the past, Nicole did not think of Ike as her match. But she found out now that he had been hiding his true strength. Ike suppressed his emotions with an icy expression after being exposed by Nicole. "Thank you for your compliment," Ike said, pretending to misinterpret Nicole's sarcasm. He replied coldly, "But I'm not as powerful as you. You even added a defense system on the robots at the last minute. Nicole, you should shut down the defense system, modify their system and make the robots come back. Or else." "Or else what? Are you going to kill me?" Nicole narrowed her eyes with a fake smile. In her heart, Nicole was truly disappointed in Ike. She had once suspected his sudden appearance but gradually came to trust him. However, she did not expect him to be an ingrate. Ike hesitated when Nicole asked him this question. Deep down, he did not want to kill her. But he did not have a choice.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.